Good afternoon. Greetings from the North Point of View, here with Dr. Walter Kemmsies. Walter, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. But you know, some of these folks may not be in the afternoon. It could be morning for them.
Well, I think are we global now? Are we like all time zones at this point? Or, I mean, I know we're getting Effingham County, like Bullitt County, maybe Bryan County.
Oh, no, we got fans in Brazil where I grew up.
Yeah.
We've got fans in Europe. I got cousins there, and we got a couple of friends in India and China. So
My mom's in Tennessee, so I know we're getting at least one time zone over.
there we go.
Hey, this is going to be easy for me. This is just like push the button and watch Walter like go off the scales. I'll just throw it out there: globalization versus world trade. Some confusion. Let's just get clarity on it.
Yeah. So back in 2008, the world economy was going into the toilet. China didn't even think about trying to export more. They just started building more bridges and redeployed all the factory workers there. And there were a whole bunch of articles by people on Wall Street and other places, like the big media outlets. They talked about the end of globalization. And when you read this stuff, you realize very quickly that they don't know what globalization means. And what they were really referring to was world trade.
Right.
So world trade is going to come to an end. Right. So all of this oil in the Middle East is going to shift into Germany and France so that they don't have to buy it anymore from the Middle East. All of those lithium reserves in Chile and in China are going to magically move to the US and Europe so they don't have to buy from them anymore. It's just, I don't have words for people who make these comments. And what happens is every time something hiccups in the world economy, you get these instant experts with all kinds of opinions.
Instant experts. I'm going to write that one down. That's a great term.
Exactly. What I really hate about that term is I was one of them, but that's another story for another time. So all of a sudden, you know, the world is going to deglobalize. So first of all, what do you mean by globalization? You never find the definition. So here's my definition. Globalization is the global basis for production and distribution. I produce in many parts of the world, I sell in many parts of the world, and then I allocate my production efforts and my distribution efforts to make sure that I've got the lowest costs with the highest revenue. Globalized companies are oil companies, banks, big American consumer brands like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's. You can find these companies' operations in almost every one of the 180 some countries in the world. You can go anywhere in the world and order a Coca-Cola, maybe not Russia these days, but you know, almost anywhere in the world, and order a Coke, you get a Coke.
I have been in a hut in a village in Africa, in Zimbabwe. No paved roads within 20 miles of this location. Literally a grass hut. And we go in, he opens a cooler, and there's local water and there's Coca-Cola on ice.
Exactly. That's my point. That's globalization.
Yeah.
So, and the Europeans have been there long before US companies were, but the bottom line is that's globalization. So what happens is a lot of companies in the US 20 years ago, long after the Europeans did this, but they went and shut down factories in the US and started contracting their production in places like China. And this was referred to as globalization. It's not globalization. It's just being international, maybe multinational, but global, it's not. And so the world economy continues to integrate. It continues to become more, you know, connected.
Interdependent.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you have stupid governments in some places, you know, like China, that's one thing. But the problem that they have is that the companies are more powerful than the governments. You know, during World War II, there were American companies who were doing business with German companies, you know, right through the war. So the world economy and the world politics are two different things. Yes, the politicians can have a pretty negative effect, but the bottom line is the world wants to consume more So as long as we have more people and people want to consume more, you're going to have this global network of companies. And if you're an American company and you're really international, who are you selling to? Well, you're selling to a global consumer, a global middle class. And where is the global middle class based? It's in Asia. So if you pull out of China, you got to go elsewhere in Asia, but you're not going to repatriate making, shoes or shirts to the United States so you can sell using expensive U.S. labor relative to Asia. Not that the Americans are expensive, it's just higher.
Yes.
And then ship it to them. So you're going to have a higher manufacturing cost, a higher shipping cost to get to the Asian middle class.
Yeah, potentially lower revenue. No,
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
doesn't work.
Exactly. And so we have all of these institutes that talk about the reshoring and this. Look, it sounds good politically, and you get a lot of research grants for that, but come on, stop it. And we've got a model that shows that you can reshore profitably to the U.S. only in rare circumstances. We have abundant plastics.
And only for U.S. customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would you deglobalize, as we keep reading? No. I mean, if you want to shrink your profits, shrink your revenues, shrink your profits, go for it. And by the way, good luck with your board of directors and with the Wall Street analysts, okay? So no. World trade, though, is not the same as globalization. Globalization is that integrated decision-making process for production and distribution. World trade is just simply the fact that resources around the world aren't equally distributed, and those who have more of this and less of that trade with those who have less of this and more of that. It's as straightforward as that. And, politically, you might be able to impact the patterns, but no.
And the market always does what the market wants to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't fight the market.
Don't fight the market. Hey, Walter, great being with you, man.
Hey, it's good seeing you again. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thanks, guys.